Buckets. That's the name of my boat. Buckets.
Buckets. What we get.
Not the only transfer we got from Florida. Keith Stone, too. Remember that.
Everybody who watches his show on a regular basis knows my love of the stretch four.
You know, we all make mistakes. You might have made one going to Tallahassee.
If y'all don't know. Dribble to the left, cross over to the right. Hurricane to the game, many buckets for the night. Matt with the pick and roll, Melissa with the give and go. This Shelly-oo, hoodie girl dunking in the hole. Check the scoreboard, this what we fall for. Beat the gameplay, they want an encore. Yeah, overtime for another round. It's buckets out the buckets, baby. You out of time. It's buckets. What it is, homie, it's buckets. Woo! We get buckets. Yeah, baby, buckets.
I have no shame.
I know. That's the problem.
You guys are awesome.
What up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Buckets, where Vish has so nicely coined it Victory Buckets, because the men won yet another ACC game. How's it going, Vish?
Good. This time I was there. I got to actually win. I missed the last one entirely, so this was...
But you were wrong.
You got to be way more
If anyone watched the last show of Buckets, Vish asked me if I thought the men would win another game this season. And I said yes. He said no. And within the week, they proved him wrong. Sox Cover says we are so back. We're very happy about 2 ACC wins. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Hey, we are now 2 games out of the ACC tournament.
Gotta keep winning.
If you look at the schedule, it's not looking good. But the team with that we're 2 games back of is Notre Dame, so tiebreaker is intact there. But yeah, we're 2 out of 3.
Hey, that's 2 wins in a row for Coach Courtney, because he was not on the sidelines.
That's true. He was
glad
not.
He's feeling better.
Yeah, he conveniently missed the game again against a team that's 12-2 in conference. I'm sure we would have won otherwise.
Real quick before we get into the the win over Syracuse, I do want to shout out our co-host Matt. He is one of the assistant coaches for Fountain Valley High School men's basketball. They start the playoffs tonight. That's where he is. That's why he's not on the show tonight against Mater Dei. So good luck to the Barons. Go Barons. Hopefully they get a win.
Yeah, they're tipping off in about 10 minutes here.
So, yep, go Barons. All right. Shall we talk about another win? This is very exciting.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm just looking at what Kane's thoughts say. No, you gotta cheer against Notre Dame because BC's tied with us at 2 wins, but you got to get all the way up to the 4-win plateau right now. And if Notre Dame wins another game because of the 5-win plateau, which is well, we got to get into a massive tiebreaker of 4 wins to get through this. So try and sneak into that ACC tournament.
So I watched the game today. I was unfortunately at work for the game last night. Maybe
you're the problem because you missed the Notre Dame game too, man. I thought it was me, but then I'm there.
During the game is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was me after the first game I'd literally missed in a year. We freaking win, and then I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's me. But then I was there on Tuesday, and you were, so maybe it was you.
Maybe me not being there and being at work is helpful. Although I've missed a few games because of work and we've lost. But hey, listen.
I mean, we've lost basically everything. So
I know. So the Canes won last night, 91-84 against Syracuse. Matthew Cleveland was the leading scorer with 32 points, 10 of 13 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Jalil Bethea had a great game also. He had 21 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 turnovers, but some freshman mistakes there. Definitely our 2 best players. We're going to talk about the game a little bit, but we're also going to go into and talk about each player on the team this season and kind of break down our thoughts for each guy. We'll touch on the women a little bit, but there's not much to say about their last game because they got blown out by 40 against Duke.
I have some things to say.
We're gonna Vish has some things to say. So we'll talk about that a little later, but let's have some happy thoughts. And then since Matt's not on the show tonight, we are gonna have final thoughts, but we are gonna have a little show and tell because we did do a bit of shopping this weekend. So some new Canes gear that's come out. So we'll do some show and tell later, including something that I bought that Vish was very surprised about. So let's start with the game first. Vish, thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I mean, so there's some like ground truths here, right? The defense is and is always going to be terrible. There's no good defenders on the team. There's certainly no good team defense being played. This was a game where the Canes really tried, I would say, for the whole game defensively, which is not always the case, and still gave up 84 points to a team that averages 74. So that's just the reality of it.
There was effort.
There was effort, but they're just, and that's why I think when people criticize, and there's certainly plenty of criticize with this program, it's not the effort. They're just not good defensively. The system's broken. There's a reason the coach quit, all that stuff. But what they were able to do yesterday was really not just score, but be efficient. When you called out some of the stat lines, but Matthew Cleveland, 32 points on 13 shots. Jalil Bethea, 21 points on 8 shots. Like, that is ridiculous. And that's how you get to 91 points and win the game. Not everyone was efficient. Cough divine. But
Waldo Bay, 5 for 7.
Everyone else was efficient with the one exception.
Not Brandon Johnson.
Well, he got benched for a reason.
4.
No, but when you look at the high point totals, it wasn't just high point totals. It was efficiency there that allowed the Canes to score that many points. And that was enough to win. But also, I mean, they were at the 10-minute mark of the first half. Syracuse was on pace to score 63 points, and they scored 84 because once it started going, it went.
They had 47 points from 2 players. Lampkin, once again.
I mean, Lampkin, yeah.
Lampkin, PTSD. I was in the building for that Colorado game last year. He
dominated. The Canes also, I mean, again, the defense is broken. It's not just effort.
He bought Lynn Kidd like Lynn Kidd was like a 5-year-old.
But not necessarily. But it wasn't just that. There was some of that, but it's also once again. I mean, we're now into year 2 talking about why are we high hedging and trapping. Lampkin's actually now twice benefited from us taking our center away from the basket to help trap it up top and being the beneficiary of getting dunks under the basket. That happened repeatedly.
Or somebody else.
Well, even if they can even get over on that, sometimes the defense breakdown is so quick. There's just no one even in the vicinity. So again, defense is not good, but the trapping, the trapping strategy is insane. It doesn't work. We also picked up full court a bunch of times and gave up dunks, layups, and open shots. So I mean, at the end of the day, the defense is not going to be good, and there's no combination of players that they can put out there that's going to be good. So it's going to have to happen offensively for the team to win, and it did. They did a really good job attacking the basket, getting to the line, a lot of free throws, made a lot of them too.
23.
Yeah, and when the Canes led most of the game, and then Syracuse went on a 7-0 run to take the lead, and then I thought for once, Bill Courtney actually read the game well, made subs and stuck with it, and the stuck with it to the part because he's done some good things, and then he wants to go back to certain guys when he shouldn't. And in this case, he made subs at the 9:25 mark and just left them out there pretty much for the rest of the game, except for one hiccup.
Yeah,
that almost cost us the game. But he did.
Talk about that lineup, Vish. Talk about that lineup.
Yeah, it ended up being Jaleel, AJ, Matthew, Jobay, and Lynn Kidd. So it was our best offensive lineup, and I think that was him just, hey, the defense is not going to be good. Let me put up my best offensive players out there in terms of ability to shoot the ball and create offense. And he put him at the 9:25 mark. Canes immediately went on a run and took the lead and held it the rest of the game. And he did not tinker with it, which surprised me because he likes to tinker and, I'm going to sub this guy. He sat there with that lineup from 9:25 to, I believe, 1:20 left in the game when he inexplicably pulled Jaleel out. Yeah, here we go. At 9:25, he subbed out Brandon Johnson and Divine for Jobay and Bethia when the Canes were down 61-58. His next sub with 1 minute, 11 seconds left. So more than 8 minutes with that lineup, and the Canes were now up 9. Now, he subbed out Jaleel for Divine, and immediately Syracuse. It was layup, turnover, and then didn't box out, and then free throw. Actually, then they subbed him out in between the two free throws that came off of the not box out. So that was a disaster, and that's actually, frankly, something he's done in closer games. I felt like those decisions actually cost us the Cal game. I don't understand why he does an offensive defensive substitution when we can't play defense. But other than that, it was a big move.
I think part of it was him trying to put Divine in for ball handling because Jaleel did have a few turnovers, playing the point. But at that point, I just don't think you mess with the line.
So there's a couple of things, right? So Divine is all this is the problem I have with the tinkering. We do not play good defense, period. So putting someone in for defense when we can't defend. He subbed Divine in for defense. They immediately went down and laid the ball in because that's what they're going to do anyway. And now you've got him out in the corner. Now he turned it over by stepping on the line. But what's the alternative? He stays in bounds, they foul him. He's a 60% free throw shooter you're inbounding the ball to. He's a terrible shooter. Why is he on the court? So that's where the logic is not there, because ostensibly you're putting him out there because he's going to help get a stop, except we never get the stop because we're not good defensively. And that's what I'm talking about, not really playing. I thought, overall, again, he went 8+ minutes with that lineup, which was very offensive, and it worked. And that's how we got to 91 points to win the game. But he's got to stop tinkering with, and make this defensive substitution. There is no defensive substitution. We cannot defend. And he did that against Cal. He kept swapping Jaleel out. It was another game that Jaleel played really well. And for Divine, for defense, they scored on every single possession for the last 27 points of the game. Yeah, exactly. And this wasn't Divine's fault, mind you. Divine was not the cover on that.
He did that multiple times.
But that was,
he did that multiple times.
Yeah, because we were basically just like, don't foul. And that's bad strategy generally. But I think that's the point, is like they're going to score anyway. And now you've stifled your offense by having a worse play, especially at end of game situations when you have a poor free throw shooter as your point guard and your primary ball handler. You don't want him on the court there. If they foul him, he's a bad free throw shooter going to the line.
And that's why Jaleel needed to be there, because
And again, he realized the mistake and did not so it took 20 seconds and losing half the lead, but he got Jaleel back in there, didn't sub him again. And it's not always going to work that way, because in other games, Jaleel's certainly had his stinkers. You got to go with someone else. But I think we have a lot of, I would say, mismatched parts, talented players that aren't really in sync. So other than Matthew Cleveland, it's kind of like, who's got it today? Jobay, like you said, is really good, 5 of 7. He's also laid stinkers out there. Like, we need Brandon Johnson on the court, not him. If that's the case with how the game is going, then yes, Brandon Johnson should play 35 minutes and Jobay shouldn't play, right? And he's got to kind of feel the game out, really the first 10 to 15 minutes, and see, all right, who's got it, who doesn't, and that's got to be the guys, because everyone is so inconsistent game to game. So as much as we'd love to say, oh, yeah, this lineup, no, if he plays that same lineup the next game, is it going to work? Probably not. Since when have like Staten, McRae, and Jobay been consistent where you're like, yeah, they got to be out there, and Jaleel as well, as Sox coach is saying in the chat. So I think just overall, just see what's working on the night and then stick with it. Don't tinker beyond that. As he said, Schwartz basically didn't play. Huey didn't play at all. And I'll tell you why Huey didn't play, and we saw this. They tried to buy a few minutes with Lynn Kidd on the bench in the first half, and Lampkin took the entire 5 Canes players and stuffed them in the basket with the ball, and it was like, all right. In the second half, actually, I said this at halftime, and again, Courtney actually did it, which is if Lampkin's on the court, Lampkin has to be on the court. You cannot, because we don't really have a backup center. Huey's not that big. And so we've been trying to do this. Well, Brandon Johnson or Huey can buy us some minutes, and Lampkin's just too physical. It wasn't happening. It had to be.
Having issues.
Yeah, he was too. Lampkin dominated, but so it had to just be. At that point, it was just all right. If Lampkin's on the court, Lampkin's on the court, and that's the way we played the rest of the game. So
here's something I have an issue with. Why is Divine taking 10 shots? Why did he have the second most amount of shot attempts in a game?
He had the second most amount of shot attempts when he came out. It was the most.
Yeah.
And he did play. He played 29 minutes, and he took the second most shots. I mean, part of it is, look, he's got. God, I feel bad in a way because he should have redshirted this year. He's got to work on his shot, his jumper, a lot because he took. I mean, 4 of those shots are threes. He's a 15% 3-point shooter. He made one of them.
Yeah.
And that makes it by far his best 3-point shooting performance because 1 of 4 is better than what he normally does. But that's just because, again, he's raw coming in. This should have been a year for him to work in the gym, get much better at shooting, study the game, and really hit the ground running next year. And instead, he's being forced to play, not just play, but play a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
And they were leaving him open for 3, so he was shooting it. And it's kind of like, if you don't shoot it, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Because if you don't shoot it, you're basically playing 4-on-5 offensively. It's really hard to score. If you shoot it, he's probably not going to make it. He's not a good shooter. So he ends up with 10 shots. I think he took 4 threes, and then the rest of them were drives to the hoop. But if you take away the 4 threes and he shoots 3 of 6 for 6 points, like that's not great because you don't want 1 basket per point, but it's not as terrible, especially when a lot of it's attacking. But you take
Nigel's likely not coming back.
Yeah, no, I think the LOL is kind of like that's what would fix a lot, and it's actually true. We can talk about a little bit, but yeah, I think Divine was shooting too much. A lot of it in transition too. He doesn't pass. Like when he gets the ball and he gets ahead of steam, he's going to the rim. It's either going in or not because he's really good finishing there. But there were times where he should have kicked it out or made the pass in transition and got stuffed, which is again, kind of brought down his field goal percentage a little bit because most of his shots are actually at the rim, driving the basket in a normal game. He took a lot more threes in this game, and that's where the extra shots came from. Then he also forced a couple in transition that he probably could have dished. There was a real bad sequence in the middle of the second half after the Canes built an 8-point lead where he forced the ball up and got stuffed in transition, but then the ball went out of bounds. The Canes got the ball back, and Jalil had 3 on that possession. He got blown by on defense and kind of forced another couple of shots. Forced a 3 and missed it, and it's kind of like, all right, don't need you shooting every time. So that's why he took 10 shots. But I don't know if the answer is don't shoot when you're open from 3 because then it makes the rest of the offense harder to. Frankly, he shouldn't. He was supposed to redshirt. He's working through it, and I think he's on the court a lot.
9 minutes a game, and he's kind of been put in that situation.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to be playing that many minutes, though. And I do think there is an argument, and I don't know what's going on with Blackman, but certainly Stat and McRae can get more minutes. I don't know that and Schwartz can get more minutes. I don't know that Divine needs to play that many minutes as an automatic. And I do wonder with his energy and his disruptive defense, and I'd say it's more disruptive than consistent at this point. If he wouldn't be better suited coming off the bench and, giving some energy in shorter bursts than, because I think if you play someone playing the way he is extended minutes, that's when you start seeing all right, he's shooting too much. He's doing that. But then we look at those short burst plays, he's really effective. And I think there's probably a better role for him. But again, this team is broken. So it's not ideally you have, as Sox player, you have Nigel starting next to Jaleel. And, Divine's actually coming in, and giving you maybe 5 minutes a half of really high energy defense. It's okay if he fouls now because who cares? He's not going to play that many minutes. And instead, he's having to play 30 plus minutes. So, yeah, there's no solution within the team. But, yeah, I do think I don't know what to do because he shouldn't shoot. You're a 15% 3-point shooter. So you really shouldn't be shooting from out there. They're leaving you open for a reason. On the other hand, you're the point guard. If the point guard won't take the jumper, you get the court gets compressed. Especially saw that they could not cover Jaleel and they could not cover Matthew. And when we pulled Jaleel out to give him a breather in the second half, that's when Syracuse went on the big run to take the lead. It's because the offense didn't score because everything was crowding Matthew. He couldn't get looks because they were just trapping the ball, forcing the ball in his hand, and no one else was able to punish that. So, yeah, I mean, there's
a reason why Matthew Cleveland has had 6 games in a row of 20-plus points, and 3 of those 6 games he's scored over 30.
Well, I mean, he's the best player on the team and actually one of the better players in school history, for being honest. Unfortunately, he's been on bad teams. He's excellent. He's all over the court, offensively and defensively.
He had a few blocks on closing out on threes.
Yeah, no, he's literally everywhere, and he doesn't take bad shots.
Can we put this up real quick, please?
I don't know if I want to. Sox coverage, I appreciate it.
Let me quote Sox coverage here. Melissa has called me out on the Cleveland slander, and she was right. I was wrong. Thank you, Sox coverage, for admitting that. Matthew Cleveland Fan Club.
Yeah, no, he's been excellent. He's actually gotten, it's very rare for someone at this stage of his career to get better, but he's gotten better as the years go on. He's really not just, he's always had the athleticism and ability. He's playing just a really intelligent game now for someone that is required to score a lot of the points for this team and really the only one consistent to not fall into the bad habit of forcing shots. Again, 32 points on 13 shots, nuts.
Well, I gotta say, and because obviously I am the president and founder of the Matthew Cleveland Fan Club, the difference between him this year and last year is crazy, and a lot of that has to do with one, he was coming in to a team that had just made the Final Four with multiple players returning. I think he deferred a lot. He also got injured halfway through the season, and I don't think he was the same. A lot of people gave me a lot of slack for saying Matthew Cleveland's going to be really, really good. Everyone says he sucks. He came from FSU. We don't like him, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, he's had a few off games this year. Everybody has. But I think it's very obvious now how talented and athletic of a player he is, and how efficient he can be, one, when he's healthy, and 2, when he actually, calls for the ball and can show what he's actually doing and he's not deferring anymore. He's obviously the best player on this team, and I feel bad for him because he doesn't deserve this.
Well, there's 2 huge what ifs, right? When you see the way the team played yesterday. One is, whatever went into, and this is Coach L, this is not the current coaches, the decision that Jaleel needed to be on ice and was not allowed to play through stuff when all the other freshmen are getting minutes and playing through things. And look, Jaleel had some really bad plays last night too, but the talent and shot making, creativity, and you can see the ability there. And you gotta wonder
up and under mid range that he
well,
had.
It's not just that. He's
crazy.
There's a difference. There's athleticism. There's a difference between someone that is actually, an elite talent and not. And you can see the difference just in the smoothness with which he gets his shot up. None of it looks forced, even when it misses. He's able to pretty quickly take rhythm shots, and that's what kind of separate. Look, as much as there's all sorts of aspects to basketball, scoring is kind of what the differentiator is. And you can see how easy it is for him to get to his spots and get shots up. And yeah, he showed lack of maturity. This is not all in the coaches, obviously. Like, first game, he punched someone and got ejected. Like, this is someone that needs.
You've seen him visibly complain on.
Yeah, this is someone that needed to mature, but the decision to try to force that by not playing him appears to be a pretty big mistake, as we see him get more minutes and start to come alive here. And you're like, man, if that had happened, in Charleston instead of now, he got played through that instead. Like, maybe there's levels that his game could have gone to, and then the other ones, of course, we still don't know. Nigel Pack's now out of his boot, but had he been healthy and you have him, Jaleel, and Matthew, that's a very, very difficult team to guard. And instead, we've not really – those 3 I probably never played together because Jaleel wasn't getting minutes when Nigel was there. But also, even just now, just with like the difference in the game, the reason it's to 91 points is they couldn't guard Matthew and they couldn't guard Jaleel, and everything was flowing at them. There were consecutive possessions where Jaleel drove in, drew the defense, and kicked to Matthew for a three, and then the next possession opposite.
And
Matthew.
they were so efficient. I mean,
they were efficient because
five shots combined.
They were efficient, especially when they were on the court together, because you couldn't key on one because the other one would kill you. And it just, they're the only two players on the team that have that ability where, they can really just score in bunches at an efficient level, even if you're trying to guard them. And so, because Jobe, I think he's improved a lot, but you're not going to really run the offense through Jobe. And so, it's unfortunate that, Jaleel did not get the leash that maybe some of the other freshmen appear to have gotten to.
And we've commented on it all season.
Yeah. And this is what you saw last night was why you give them that leash and just let them play through it. Because the only way that, we actually started early, so I don't know that you joined late.
Yeah, we did.
I
was getting antsy.
But the reason, we were, like you said, commented, the reason we were upset about him not getting the minutes is that's where the ceiling for the team was. It was with him reaching his potential, and for him to not even get the opportunity to do that actually held the whole team back. You don't recruit top 10 players in the country and then not play them. And I would have had a little bit more sympathy for that approach if I didn't see our other freshmen, getting to play through, growing pains while Jaleel was not. And so to me, that was a huge mistake. And I don't know how good the team still would have been because, again, they cannot defend at all. And so, exactly. Johnson Rico would get minutes. Like it was. I think people are forgetting, and even someone like Jalen Blackman, who we mentioned, who knows, he never really got it going this year. Still, they kept forcing him into the game. It's like, let Jaleel play. He's clearly got some raw talent and he needs the court time. And look, when you play defense the way you play defense, like.
You got to score 90 points.
You're also limited in what you can, how many games you can win, because you're not going to be able to consistently do that. I mean, Blackman, I guess CCH is saying left the team. I mean, he hadn't played for a while, so
I think Sox coverage just said he wasn't on the bench. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention. I know he hasn't played in a while. I wasn't noticing if he was on the bench or not. So we don't have any inside information about that, so I'm not going to speculate.
I mean, I don't think he has eligibility left, but
yeah.
Anyway, the point is, like, the way.
There you go. Wasn't on the bench for the last two games. Hey, listen, maybe there's illness going around. This has happened on the women's team. I don't know what's going on with that, but
in any event, either way, he shouldn't be playing, so it doesn't matter if he's on the team or not. But I guess we can go play. You want to do a player-by-player thing? We can do that in a minute. But I do think, look, at the end of the day, we can criticize this decision or that decision. The reality is, the way this team plays defense, they weren't going anywhere. If you're having to score 91 points because you can only hold a team that averages 74 points a game to 84 points, you're not gonna win a lot of games. And I think that's the reality of it. And that's where they are.
I thought it was one of the better shooting performances that I've seen. As like I watched the Notre Dame game just the second half. And even though we were scoring and we won, I felt like a lot of our offensive possessions were kind of chaotic. Matthew and Jaleel, I feel, took over a lot on offense, which I liked. I liked the decision making on the most part. I know Jaleel had some bonehead like baseball passes that probably shouldn't have happened. But I did think his shot selection was better. And you could tell he was 6 of 8. I wasn't like, why are you shooting that? Obviously, I felt like Cleveland was more aggressive. I think he had like 11 points in the first like 10 minutes of the game. They didn't really have an answer.
He had an and one stolen.
Yeah, he did. So our offense should be running through them. I feel like they need to be getting touches on each possession. Lynn Kidd still, I just, he hesitates way too much. If you're gonna post, go. Like, stop standing there dribbling for 20 minutes. Like, it was just kind of frustrating for me. I thought Joe Bay had some really nice shots. He was 3 of 3 from 3. His 3 points looked good, but then he had some plays where I'm like, why? What are you doing? Why are you driving and shooting that? But let's go through every player. I have the roster pulled up.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about each player individually.
All right.
We'll go in alphabetical order. We don't need to talk about the walk on. So Basa Ama, we didn't think he would see the court at all. He's basically just a body in practice. So we'll keep going.
No comment.
Yeah. All right. So Jaleel Bethea. I think we kind of discussed this already. Felt that he should have gotten more playing time early. We've been talking about this throughout the season. I think his all-around game, this last game was his best game. I didn't see as much complaining from him. There was a couple times where I saw him throw his hands up in the air, like kind of being like, what the fuck? But like, I thought he made better decisions on his shot selection. He wasn't forcing it. Didn't make it. I mean, I wasn't following him on defense the whole time, but it didn't look like he showed a lot of effort. He did have a few, stupid long baseball throws down the court, and kind of in crunch time towards the end. And even one of them, he pointed to the bench and was like, my bad. The chances that he sticks around for next season, probably not, but I would like him to. Vish, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much echo what you said. I do think some of the warts we saw, there were the 2 baseball passes and the one where he dribbled across half court and got stolen, where he actually then sprinted back on defense, defended the shot, and then stole the rebound from it. So he kind of saved that one back out, and they didn't score on it. Those types of things are what we work out early in the season so that you don't have them happen in ACBC play, but he wasn't allowed to play. So it's a little bit harder to criticize those, although, you should know better than in a late game situation when you're nursing a 3-possession lead, 2-possession lead, to not throw a baseball pass with 28 seconds on the shot clock down. Like, that's just not, you want to eat the clock anyway. You want to work clock. So like that stuff, he'll get better the more he plays. I think whoever the new coach is, their first job is to recruit him. That's paramount. He is by far the most critical to retain off of this team. He's the only one that can actually elevate the level of the program. And so if everyone else goes and he stays, that's still a win for this program going into next year.
Agreed.
And I have no idea. I think CCH is talking financials. Theoretically, there's no pay for play, so none of that would impact his ability to transfer.
Also, why would he sign a 2-year deal if he was a projected lottery pick before the season?
It's not necessarily. Sometimes they're like options for the second year. That's what Nigel had as well. He didn't have to. If he wanted the money, he had to stay. And so the question being, it's insurance for the player, right? If you come back, you're locked in at this amount. In case let's say he got injured or something and wasn't able to play and need to come back. The question is, does his value drop where his second year option here is actually much better than what he would get on the market at this point? Hard to say. That's exactly what DCH just said in the chat, which I think he said before I said it verbally, but I said it before he saw it because the delays. But he by far is the guy. If they can keep one guy, it's him by far. No one else is even close.
Right. Next, Jalen Blackman. We haven't seen him in a couple of games. Coming into the season, he was known for his scoring, his 3-point shot. Really haven't seen that this season. Can't play defense.
Yeah, by far the most disappointing player on the team. He was someone we relied on, actually. If you recall, the preseason discussions were Nigel's starting for sure. Is it Blackman or Jaleel?
Didn't you say he was going to lead the team in scoring? Wasn't that your hot take?
I don't remember. I could say something that stupid. So
I think
definitely on brand. If not,
I think that was your hot take that Jalen Blackman leads the team in scoring. Kane's Cats Heat gives him an F++++. Oh, yeah.
Well, he upgraded or downgraded. I'm not sure. The pluses are good, right? So he's closer to a D now. But completely missed on I guess it sounds like he's not with the team.
We're going alphabetically here. So next would be Matthew Cleveland. I think we've already discussed
Don't
this.
need to say anything about him. Best player on the
team.
One of the better in school history. Next time we do a draft, he'll be on there. All right.
Yeah, I want to get a number 0 jersey just because, mainly because he's been all off season. I was defending him, and so it was nice to be right. So yeah. Anyway, next up, Paul Jobé. So Paul Jobé honestly has been somewhat of a surprise. I mean, we don't air this like on the show, but like our group text, I mean, we totally destroyed the guy after last season. Not gonna lie. He got thrown to the fire last season. He should not have been getting playing time last season, so you can't blame the dude. I like his like 10 minutes a game situation. He does bring some energy off the bench. I think he's had better shot selection the last few games that he's played. He definitely tries to rebound. He does have some idiot plays, but as a role player off the bench, maybe getting 10 minutes a game, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think he, again, was someone that came in without a lot of basketball under his belt, and I think he worked on his game a ton in the offseason, and the skill is there, and I think the next step is kind of the basketball maturity catching up to the skill. He can really be a good player. He is good enough that
most people have a better 3-point shot than Anthony Walker.
Divine doesn't, but that's another story. Actually, they're on the same pace. They made 3. One's a point guard, though. But no, I think if Jobé's, if his basketball decision making, you called it out, right? He takes some of his plays are just like, what are you doing? But then I think his game has improved so much. Very, like his skill level has really gone. He clearly worked his ass off this offseason to get to that point from where he was last year. And I think if his mental part of just decision making catches up, he's someone you can play 30 plus minutes a game in the ACC and be fine with starting him and stuff going forward, assuming he takes another step forward.
Okay, He's maybe a 3rd-year jump for him.
Well, I think he had a big 2nd-year jump. I think and I think if again, it's really the mental side of the game. But new coaches, new system, maybe that'll help. Maybe some of these guys could probably use. I mean, Coach L liked, especially the last few years, liked his open, let the players flow. Motion off. Someone that actually puts guardrails around this might help several of these guys.
All right, next up, Kyrie Huey. Barely has played, was injured most of the year. We kind of talked about it in the offseason. We thought he was just going to be a backup center for a few minutes, or if Lynn Kidd got in foul trouble. We didn't really expect much from him. Haven't even gotten that. It is what it is. He came from where did he come from? Idaho State.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the part of the season you joined in, when they throw you,
I would have redshirted, but
I don't know that he necessarily had that option because I don't know what he would have done at that point because again, he was a borderline in the rotation, not out of the rotation type of player. And you take someone, you throw them into a literal dumpster fire, they're going to catch on fire too. So I don't know exactly what. Unfortunately, the injury derailed any opportunity really had to gel with the team and carve out a role. So to me, it's like an incomplete.
Next is Brandon Johnson. For me, that's the biggest disappointment this season. He came in and they described him as a stretch 4, could shoot the 3 really well, can rebound, can do all of these things.
I'm sorry. Just because he's a stretch 4, that's actually not a stretch 4.
I think we got the evil twin.
Look, man. There is no way. There is no way he's more disappointed than Blackman. Okay, like I get it.
He's more disappointing because
I know this is all your
I love the stretch 4.
This is your stretch 4 bullshit, clouding your judgment. Because look, right? Okay, all right. So yes, the shooting. I mean, it was a running joke how many he missed to start ACC play.
Like 25 or something.
Yeah, and he shot a little better since then, but still not nearly. On net, we'd have been a better off as a team if he never attempted a 3. I get that, but he rebounds, he plays defense. He's had to guard the opposing center a lot because he's the backup center. He's not, certainly we thought he would perform better than he has. And you never know when these guys take that jump up to ACC whether they can handle it or not. But I would give him more of a C or D, not the. I mean, he's definitely the most disappointing is Blackman. I mean, come on. So the guy is the starting shooting guard and supposed to put up like 50 points a game, and like basically it was DNP coach's decision for basically that back half of the year, and then he finally left the team apparently. So Brandon Johnson, you can still get solid minutes out of. I don't think we ever got solid minutes from Jalen Blackman.
Not a stretch for.
You're out of your mind.
Johnson Arugu left the team already. Lynn Kidd, his third ACC school, was sharing minutes at Virginia Tech last year. I definitely expected more from him, but I'm not completely shocked. I'll give him a C+.
I'm more of a B. I mean, we got what we expected. He's the same player he was. Dude, Antonio Jimenez was not a man. Hell, did he? Leave Antonio Jimenez alone. He was not that bad. All right, who's next?
Nigel Pack.
Oh boy, this is a complicated.
So we talked in the offseason how we had a lot of expectations with Nigel. We thought this could be like kind of how he cements his history in Miami basketball, coming back for a third year. Was the most outstanding player of the region in the Final Four 2 seasons ago, and then was injured a lot last year. So we had high expectations for him. Got injured early on, and we haven't seen him. We are assuming that he's trying to get a medical redshirt, and we're not going to see him the rest of the year so he can transfer. So I'm disappointed.
It's a bizarre situation in that he was wearing a boot until a few games ago. He's now not. He is on the bench at all the home games, like supporting the team. It's awkward. You mentioned correctly before the year. We thought, if he has a big year, he can really cement his legacy. He's cemented his legacy, but it's not the way he wanted to. So I mean, he's basically he's now like very much like with the rest of that team. It is it's now an atomic like point in time team versus both he and Norchad Wooga, like all these guys ended up doing other things and kind of drifting away, and so it really now is just a frozen in time moment versus career legacies for anyone that's not named Isaiah Wonk for that team. So that's just the reality of it. And whatever.
Next, AJ Staten McCray. I didn't really have a ton of expectation. He was coming from a really small school, was a good defender, apparently. I mean, we're not really good at defense. He doesn't do anything really that stupid, so he eats minutes. He's not terrible. I think he has another year of eligibility, so I guess we'll see what happens next season.
Yeah, I would say he probably met expectations for me. I didn't think I didn't think he would be. I thought he'd be a borderline, probably maybe a guy coming off the bench. Because keeping in mind, we thought Nigel Pack, Jaleel, or Jalen starting at the 2. And then Matthew, Brandon Johnson, Lynn Kidd. Those are your 5 for sure, no questions. And there is no doubt that I think Stat McCray has wedged himself into that conversation. Part of that is obviously Nigel being injured opens the spot up, and then other guys have underperformed. But this is about what I expected. I will say he's very much an actual basketball player, and what I mean by that is he looks comfortable. So many of our guys look like they're not comfortable playing basketball. If that description makes sense, they hesitate. You mentioned Lynn Kidd earlier. They kind of aren't decisive. They hesitate to dribble, hesitate to pass. It's kind of like dude, you guys have been playing basketball your whole lives, right? You should feel more natural than that. AJ Stanton McRae is natural with the ball in his hand. It is noticeable.
All right, Austin Swartz. My preseason opinion of Austin Swartz is that he may get some minutes every game, but I didn't expect him to have a humongous impact. Obviously, I didn't see us like being this bad and losing Nigel or whatever. So I didn't see like him getting a ton of minutes. He had a few games where he played really well. He's in some games where he hasn't played at all or only played a few minutes. So I don't think we've seen what he's going to be yet. There's a lot of potential. He was a 4-star prospect. So we'll see if he sticks around. I don't have like it's not Schwartz, it's Swartz. Swartz. Everyone mispronounces his name. So it's Swartz. I'm just gonna say that. Anyway, go Vish.
Everyone's defense is horrible.
Defense on this team, yeah.
I mean, I thought he would be more of a just spot up shooter, and I don't think his game's much more than that at this point. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be here next year. So,
you think he transfers to a power conference school?
Maybe. I don't know.
All right. Last but not least, Divine.
All right, I'll go first since you're hesitating there.
I was going to let you go first. I'm sure you have a lot to say.
Well, I would say he's significantly better than I expected and also overrated and playing way too many minutes at the same time. He should have redshirted, and you can see the raw there. He plays hard every time he's on the court. He needs to work on a lot of his game. Actually, similar to what Joe Bay did. Right. Last year we had to force Joe Bay in because of injuries, and he flashed sometimes like, man, look, he made it a couple of shots looking, and then overall you're like, this is not sustainable with him playing like this. And he rounded out his game a lot more in the offseason to the point where he's closer to there. I think that's something that we're going to need Divine to do in the offseason. He's got to be smarter, stop gambling so much on defense. He has to shoot the ball better. You cannot. It's 2025. You cannot have a point guard that can't make jumpers.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot that he needs to do.
Johnson transferred to Iowa, by the way.
Yeah, not Missouri. So I think he would have been better off redshirting, because one of the things that's happened this year is, for whatever reason, Jaleel's the only one that gets punished for bad play for the freshman. And so there's a lot of bad habits that have been reinforced with continued playing time that are going to have to be undone. So I think that's where, I don't know, the new coach has to like do a lot of fixing here. Because if you're talking about, look, he's currently the starting point guard on the worst team in school history. If we don't want to be that, he's got to be a lot better. And frankly, a lot of that is workouts off the court that needs to be done. And he should have had the opportunity to do it this year, and he didn't.
Agreed. Johnson transferred to Iowa. That was the other team that was recruiting him. It was down to us in Iowa, and he came here. So he didn't really do that much here. He didn't get a lot of playing time wise. So he didn't really have a lot to show. So I guess, I don't know, Iowa, I guess, was always an option. So we'll see what happens, at the end of the season. I mean, a lot of this team is seniors. We obviously do have a few freshmen and a junior. So we'll see, it depends on who the coach is, and we'll see who stays and who goes.
It also depends, other than, Jaleel, the new coach might not want any of these kids, just to be honest about it. Like, no one has shown that they're untouchable here. So I mean, all these guys are like, oh, I wonder if they want to stay. They might not have the option to stay. New coach coming in, it's gonna probably might have some guys he wants to bring with him, and certainly we'll be looking at the current roster and saying that guy's got to go, this guy's got to go. I think we're in a good moment now because we've won 2 out of our last 3 games. This team is awful, and no one is going to come out clean on the other end. And so, we have to acknowledge that and understand that anyone coming in neutrally and not attached to these players and not having that personal relationship with them yet and looking at it analytically is going to take a very critical look at each of these players in the negative.
Yep.
Because we have seen all of them, actually, maybe not Divine, but the rest of them at times loaf, not put effort in. I hate to use the word quit, but quit. We're talking about players that are, eligible to come back, not Matthew Cleveland, who has not done that one time, even when we put him on the bench inexplicably against Cal. He still came in, played awesome, hit the game-tying shot to force overtime, even though he came off the bench because God knows why. But you're talking about, the kids that have the opportunity to return that have eligibility left. They've all been guilty of hanging their heads, not efforting. And so any coach might look at that and say, do I think I can coach that out of them? So I don't know how many of these kids are going to have an option to stay. The recruiting class is kind of falling apart. So we'll
we got one guy.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big, but again, the new coach will have the opportunity to potentially, not just, like I said, most important job is probably recruiting Jaleel to stay, but then build a roster, hit the portal, and also if he's coming from another power school, he can bring kids with him because they can automatically transfer when the coach leaves. So there might be some of that as well. So I think a lot of the roster will be patched together with people we haven't seen.
Yeah, we'll see. Do we want to quickly discuss the women? There's not much to say, but
well, I mean, Jerry Jones has something to say.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes.
You've been waiting to pull that out the entire time.
I was ready. Did you see how quickly I didn't know you were going to pivot to the women, but I was ready.
Yeah. So the women played Duke, over the weekend? I don't even. When was that?
Yeah, it was on Sunday.
We lost 90-49.
Okay,
it was not good. We had 17 made baskets. Go ahead, Vish.
No, I think there's a big problem here, and so this schedule, and we've been talking about it, is overwhelmingly difficult at this stretch of games. And we knew that after. That's why that win against Virginia was so critical, because we're looking at the schedule and you're like, these are all ranked teams basically coming up. And if you look at it, the Canes are after Virginia, which was a huge needed win, they played Duke and Georgia Tech, both ranked. The next 3 games are at NC State, then Florida State and Notre Dame. All 3 of those are ranked.
Notre Dame's one of the top 3 teams in the country.
And then after that, you get Wake, at Stanford, at Cal. Cal has now fallen out of the rankings, but they're a borderline top 25 team. So I think it's very easy then mentally to say, wow, this is tough. You still got to show up. What we saw on Sunday is not acceptable. And look, there was there's always explainers and mitigations. Right? A couple of the players were out with illness. But that does not explain why you lose 90-49. I mean, that's atrocious. And the effort just what didn't appear to be there. Cam had a nice game. No one else really even showed up. And when you do things like that, like we talked about this, Melissa, you and I offline, there is we're teetering here. We've talked a lot about the men and their plight to make the ACC tournament. The women are currently in a 3-way tie at 3 wins for 13 through 16 or 14 through 16. So they're in a tie to not make the ACC tournament right now, and you can't just concede all the ranked games as losses. You have to go up there and show and fight and hopefully steal one of these. That could potentially be the difference between making the ACC tournament or not. It's very if you don't show up at all, you're not winning. What happened on Sunday is totally unacceptable from a program standpoint, from an individual player standpoint, just across the board. And look, do I expect them to go into Cameron Indoor and beat Duke? No, Duke is an excellent team. They're a top 10-ish type team, but I expect them to effort. You shouldn't lose to anyone by 41 points. That's an obscene number. That's really I don't. It's hard to contextualize how bad that is in a 40-minute game. You're losing a point a minute. And and so when you start doing things like that, then it's hard. Okay, so now you got NC State tomorrow, another ranked team, another really good team, one of the stronger just programs year to year in the ACC. You're on the road again. You got to show up there and fight them because eventually you got to win one of these. You can't just lose all these games and then think you're going to back into the ACC tournament. So I mean, if you look at last year's team, right? I know it's a totally different team. They played a bunch of tough games against these ranked teams. They lost a majority of them because, again, these are a tough schedule. But because they kept staying in games, they beat NC State.
That was a great game. We were there. That was a fun game.
We were there, but then there were other games too against ranked teams where, oh crap, they came up short here. But they were in every game. And that's the thing, right? When you play this many ranked teams, if you stay in every game, you will win at least one of them because eventually the ball will bounce your way. You'll catch the break that you need.
This one was never close.
Yeah, but if you're going to go down by 10 points after the first quarter and then just get throttled off the court, like you're not going to. And
it's one of the, like when we lost to Georgia Tech, but we were in that game.
Exactly. If you kept playing every game like that.
There's stuff you can take away from that. What do you take away from a 41-point loss?
I mean, there's nothing to really. It's just, I mean, everything was bad, and so then again, it's not like I'm like, oh, you should. I can't believe they didn't go in there and win, but I expected them to compete better than that. And so then again, tomorrow night, they're in Raleigh at North Carolina State, who's another top program. How do you then? They have a tough job now to mentally reset, go in there, and give them a run for their money. You have to win some of these games. And the only way to win is to actually be in the game. So they got to just, I mean, this is sort of thing. You can't just concede losses because the other team is good. And again, this was a program, what we've picked to finish in the ACC, 8th or 9th. We're in a tie for 14th right now. Like, this has not been a good season. And so they do need to, they got to compete. There's a handful of games left. They need to put their effort in every time, because also you get these. We're not playing nice because they are ladies. We are contextualizing that they were criticizing the performance on Sunday. That has been a rarity for them to completely not show up. But if that habit continues, yeah, they're going to be in trouble because we're not. Look, they still got to beat Wake Forest, Stanford, and maybe Cal to get into the.
And Canes Cat Seed, I know I understand what you're trying to say, but this is a completely different situation from the men's team. The men's team has been terrible. We've discussed their lack of effort the whole season. The effort situation has not been brought up with the women this season. We've been in a lot of games, and a lot of our criticism has come from kind of fourth quarter, like the performance in the fourth quarter where we've given up leads in the fourth quarter and maybe misuse of timeouts, substitutions, things like that, going to the post too much, more of a management situation. This is the first time where I think, we're questioning, like, where was this team? They didn't show up, for a 41-point loss is embarrassing. So this is a different situation from.
It's a different situation, but those fourth quarter collapses were happening. It's bad teams.
Yeah.
And Florida State also blew them off the court, set a score record for 3-pointers against this team. So there is a competitive issue here, and they need to address that ASAP. You cannot play like that. And again, I just pulled it up because I didn't have the exact number, so I was looking it up. But Miami is picked to finish 8th in this conference. We're nowhere close to that. This has been an underachieving season, and it doesn't have to finish that way. They're capable of going out there and competing with these teams and winning games, and they need to do that. I want to hear excuses about the schedule because you shouldn't have lost to Syracuse and Boston College and Virginia Tech, and then come here and talking about, well, the schedule is tough. Mm-hmm. Win those games, or we're having a different conversation right now.
Yeah.
So now you put the onus on yourselves to go in there and take one of these games at least.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida State already wiped the floor with them. That's the next game after NC State. And like you said, Notre Dame might be the best team in the country. So, is that where the
player of the year candidate on their team?
And Hannah Hidalgo. So where's the win coming from?
Yeah.
Go out there and beat NC State tomorrow. I don't want any excuses.
We'll see.
So all we get is excuses from all of these programs. This didn't go our way. This player was unavailable. You know what? It's a long season. You're going to have players unavailable sometimes. It's the ACC. Everyone's competitive. You have to go out there and do things correctly, and you have to do them consistently to keep above water, to stop from drowning. That's how tough the conference is. You can't write games off. You can't not effort. You can't do any of the stuff we saw on Sunday and then expect to come back and really get off the mat. And so we'll see if they can do it. But if they come out there and do that again, I mean, that means they went on a road trip to the Raleigh-Durham area and basically didn't show up for 2 games. That's not acceptable.
Yep, and we're going out to California in a few weeks to see them play Stanford and Cal. So
yeah, and again, they can
this money for no effort. We want to see hopefully some wins, but you know, we know this team can play well. We've seen them play well, but that game was hard to watch.
It was a no-show, and at this point in the season, with everything on the line still,
it's unacceptable.
That's just, it's ridiculous. It's bad. And look, we're obviously close with that program, and I think part of it's, God, I hate to say this, but I guess I'm old enough I can say it. It's like a disappointed parent. Come on, I know you could do better than this. Let's see it.
Yeah, right. and yeah, you know, we are close with the program. Obviously, all the coaches have been on the show. We've had some players on the show.
No, and that's I think that's part of the decision.
California, because we wanted to see them play on the road. So it's crazy in a way. I'm not going to speak for Vish, but like I almost take it personally, man. Like I care. Like I'm a fan. We're not just covering the team. Like come on, man. 41-point loss. Like they can do better than that.
And I think that's where the disappointment is. Like we know they're higher caliber people involved in this program, and that's what a performance is beneath them. And so, you know, we expect
they're friends of the show.
Yeah, but even putting that to one side, right? We know because of that, we know the effort, we know everything going into it, and for that to show up on the court is just, like you said, it's unacceptable. We keep using the word unacceptable because it is. So it's disappointing. Big game tomorrow. Let's see if they can get off the mat and show something.
All right.
We know this program can beat NC State.
Yes.
So go do that.
We need our big time players to show up. That might have been the worst I've seen Haley Cavender play all season.
Honestly, the whole team, I don't know.
But can we stop having illnesses, because like we had no rotation, because Abby's has been out like the whole year and we didn't have Rogers or Hilton. Like we need bodies. Not having Darion hurts because her 3-point shooting has been on the last few games, and we need it. So hopefully everyone's healthy. And we'll see how this team bounces back, but I can't sit through another 41-point loss. Like that's killer. So hopefully,
and look, the obviously the illnesses, the people missing, hurts, but there's some through lines to this whole thing. You got to defend the 3-point line. The Canes have not done that well at all this year, and then the turnovers.
We had like 20. Hold on.
We had 28 against Duke. And
28 against Duke compared to their 10.
But that's
42 points off turnovers. Dude.
Right. I mean, that's an extreme
difference in the game.
That's an extreme case of something that we've seen throughout the year. So one of the things, and the reason I pointed those two things out is so the trade-off for you're playing a smaller backcourt, again, out of necessity. It's like we have like a tall guard sitting on the bench that we're not playing. But you're playing a smaller backcourt, And so that does allow other teams to potentially shoot over the top of it, get some better looks from three, although I still think our closeouts have been pretty sloppy this year, and we haven't done as good a job as we can on that. With that said, the trade-off to that is, you have more ball handlers. You shouldn't turn the ball over as much. You can't play a small backcourt and then turn it over 28
turn the ball
times.
over like we do.
Yeah, so there's got to be – something's got to give there if you're going to compete against these better teams. And – so far in terms of when we played ranked teams, it's not been good. Like we've been, going back to that Vanderbilt game we went to, right? Like when we've played the better teams on our schedule. I'm just looking through this now. Vanderbilt lost by 18, UNC by 9 at home. We actually played pretty well there, hung around, just couldn't finish the deal. At Louisville, lost by 18. At Florida State, lost by at Florida State, lost by 22. Georgia Tech 11, we hung in there. It was probably closer in the final score, and then obviously 41 points on Sunday. So, and that it was every bit of the 41 points. Duke took their foot off the gas. They could have gone for 100 easily. So we haven't necessarily been performing against these better teams. And again, we have 3 opportunities in a row now to do that. Forget the last 2 games, flush that. Look forward. You got 3 opportunities to really show what you're made of and punch one of these teams in the mouth and take the win. Go do that.
Momentum.
Just go do it. Go do it, right? You have, look, maybe because, again, we've been removed from college a few years, not just a couple. These moments are fleeting. You only get so many opportunities to do this. And look, this team is not going to get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament or anything like that. You have an opportunity to go play a big-time program and beat them. For a lot of these ladies, this is the last chance they're going to have to do that.
Like the men's team, a lot of this team is seniors.
They're seniors, yeah. And go out there with some pride and go do that. Focus on the task at hand. Can they beat NC State? Of course they can. Go out there and do that. Forget all this crap that happened in the last game, the last 2 games, and flush that. Focus on the opponent and beat the opponent on the court in front of you. They can do that.
Alrighty. Time for show and tell.
Do you want to do your Caneswear haul first, and then we'll both do our team store haul?
Me and Vish did some shopping. I was up in Broward on Friday, so I went to Caneswear, and then we shopped at the team store this weekend before the baseball alumni game. Canes Cats Heat will appreciate that. Shout out to the Mark Lake Milkshake Stand. Milkshakes are the best. All right. If anyone's watched some previous pods when we've discussed uniforms, me and Matt have been very vocal about how we think the Coral Gables Trolley jerseys are ugly. Vish likes them. But Caneswear was having a sale, and the Trolley jersey was marked down to $37. So I was like, you know what? For that cheap, I might as well add it to my collection. So I actually bought the Trolley jersey, which Matt was very surprised about. But look, in an extra small.
What a beauty. What a fantastic jersey. I forgot how nice it looked.
The show does not do the yellow justice. It is a lot brighter of a yellow than what it's showing.
What a fantastic! I forgot how good it looked because it's been up in DC and everything.
They had it in an extra small, and it was $37. So I was like, you know what? Why not add it to the collection?
What an excellent jersey!
They also had the white home jerseys on sale, and they had not on sale, but for sale. And they had it in an extra small also, so I figured why not? It's very hard to come across these jerseys in extra small.
The trolley puts that to shame, but okay.
I would have preferred this was a 0 and not a 1. But you know what? It was an extra small, so why not?
Enjoy your Lynn Kid jersey. All right, so what else we got here?
Who else has worn number 1 for our program? Who did we have a 1 last year?
Do you want anything off of last year's team?
I don't even know. I'm trying to think. And then this is what I actually went there for because I saw it. They posted it on Twitter. They started selling the black baseball jerseys. It's a bit big on me, but I had to have it. So I was very happy with this because I love the baseball M.
The baseball jerseys generally are still like by far the best we have as any program.
And then I also got a pair of shorts because they had them in extra small and I can never find them.
Oh, Melissa, Do you want to guess who was number 1 on last year's team?
Who?
See if you can think. Someone transferred. They were a freshman last year.
I don't even remember half the players on last year's team. Oh, it was Nwoko.
Yes,
Right?
it was Nwoko.
It was Nwoko. It took me a minute. I don't think we had a number 1 on our Final Four team. Did we?
We did. Anthony Walker.
Anthony Walker? Yeah.
It could be an Anthony Walker jersey. That's not bad.
I can pretend it's an Anthony. I'd rather it be him, yeah.
I'll tell you what, that dude tried every
He did.
freaking time.
He did. All right. Team store haul.
Are we starting with the ones that we both got?
Well, I got this.
I didn't get that.
This is
You're leaning into the baseball gear, huh?
a Climalite long sleeve crew neck with the baseball M. They actually have it in size 3XS. So it actually fits normally, and it's not oversized like most of the Canes gear that I buy. Because
I don't know if it comes across on camera, but Melissa's zero body fat is, it's to her needing to size down significantly on any kind of. Because she's not like she's short. It's just there's no meat on the bones, so it's she's got to size everything down.
And then also, I think Vish got this too, but you saw the Canes play in this in their win against Syracuse. They're selling the Black History Month jerseys.
Yeah, so this one I have too. Oh, that's upside down.
And then the back is orange,
the
which
back is
isn't
orange.
like that. The ones they were wearing aren't like that.
Whatever. I really like this jersey.
So I don't know why they made the back orange, because it's the players, their jerseys are all green.
I don't think they're allowed to wear 2-color jerseys on the.
That's probably why.
Yeah,
but I like it with the 2-tone.
I do wonder if they're gonna wear an orange one at some point. Anyway,
and then also they were kind enough. They didn't have them in store, but they had them for sale at the baseball game, so they put one aside for me because again they had it in extra small. But I've been wanting this hoodie, so I'm very excited. But I got a lot of baseball merch. It's got the M on the side.
Yeah, I have that one. I think in the closet here, actually.
So I was very excited about this hoodie. This hoodie's coming with me to Cal, for sure.
I also picked up,
I made you.
I was manipulated into purchasing. Is this inside out? How did that happen? I didn't even try it on. The black jersey from 2 years ago, or these last year's. These are not current, but Melissa forced me at gunpoint to purchase it, and then
Not at gunpoint. I don't own a gun.
No, you used other forms of manipulation. I'll buy this if you
want. I told him I was going to buy it for him if he didn't buy it.
Yeah, so at which point I was of course forced to buy it. So proverbial gunpoint.
And then you got this really nice hoodie that I love.
which if you're long time watchers of the show, you'll recognize this is from our in-store at All Canes. But this is I like this. Good hoodie. Wear it out in California when we're watching the women wrap up the regular season, hopefully, but not hopefully the whole season. Because that weather should be good for hoodie weather. So we got some basketball merch to wear out to California.
I got some crew necks.
Yeah, you're not a big crew neck.
So comfortable. If you're at the team store, buy this. It's an athletic material and it's stretchy, but it's thicker. It's so comfortable. I'm just saying. But my favorite of my haul was definitely the hoodie, obviously. But like, this is such a nice hoodie. I love the M. So yeah, so we got some stuff from the team store. I got some stuff from Kingswear. They don't actually sponsor the show.
Yeah, but so definitely go by the team store. It's at the Thesis Hotel across the street from campus. The ticket office is actually over there too. So if you're doing anything ticket related, 2 birds with 1 stone. That
and then Kingswear is up in Broward off of 595 and University, I believe.
Yes, but Caneswear does not let us do shows in store. So head out to the team store. We did Canes on Deck from there on Saturday. Had several of the players on. Melissa and I also met several of the new football players. They were doing a signing.
Oh yeah, we met Brantley, Poyser, and Carnley.
Yep. So definitely head to the team store if you're heading by anywhere by campus. It's right across the street there. Also, if you're heading out to the light, they do have a pop-up store in the stadium. So
That's where I got the hoodie from.
yeah, definitely stop by there. You don't have to go to All Canes. There's an actual team store in the store. So.
And they have like a deal of the game, or at least I had it last time.
No, they always do.
They always have a deal. So this hoodie that I got, this really awesome two-tone baseball jersey hoodie, I actually got it for 30% off.
Yeah, no, they always have a deal of the game, so definitely stop by if you're at the light because you might get something severely discounted. I got my nephew some stuff.
Yeah, and this hoodie normally runs for 120, and I got it for 30% off. So definitely awesome. And they had it in a size that they didn't have in store. So shout out to Harry and to Jeremy for putting an extra small aside for me when they only had 2 at the game. So good stuff. Also, Harry said I was his best female customer. So shout out to Harry.
Sort of. He caveated that.
A female customer that shops for themselves.
I think you're probably number one by volume, not necessarily number one by overall outlay of money. But anyway, I think that was kind of the way you described it.
I'm there a few times a month.
Probably more than, I mean, it's technically, I think a few is nebulous, but it feels like a few times a week. But anyway, yeah, definitely check out the team store. They're supporters of our program, of our shows.
Yes,
we've done buckets there. We've done baseball a couple of times. So, yeah.
Jeremy literally will DM me when he gets new stuff and that's extra small because he knows that's my size. I mean, he does that because it's an automatic sale, but it's also very nice of him because he'll put it aside for me to make sure that I am able to purchase.
And anyway, for normal size people, they have your sizes as well. So head out to the team store on Thesis Hotel. They do validate your parking, so you can pull up into the garage and you'll park. They'll validate your ass there. And then if you're at the stadium at Mark Light, they got the pop-up store.
And they have a ton of options too. Like obviously I have an issue with sizing because I'm small. But as far as like for what Visha's normal people size, they have a ton of different stuff. And there's a lot of new baseball gear that's coming in. I think Jeremy said they're going to get even more stuff in March for baseball season. So I know Pat's Heat is a big baseball fan, so they got a lot of stuff coming in.
So some good shirts. I ran the marathon in a Miami baseball shirt. I purchased the team shirt. So,
and I believe there's a discount if you're a part of Hurricane Club, right?
There's different levels of discount. There's a Hurricane Club one. There's a student discount. There's also and then as Melissa said, at the games they usually have an item of the game that's you discount even further.
They actually saved me money by not having the hoodie in store because I got a bigger discount at the game.
I gotta ask Carrie if they made that the item of the game so you get a discount on it. I don't. That seems way too coincidental. Oh, the one thing you wanted happens to only be at the stadium, and it's the item of the game. That's a lot of hooping. I only had
2 extra smalls, and I didn't want to buy it right away because I didn't want to have to carry it around and look after it for the game. So they put it aside for me to make sure that it wasn't sold. So much appreciative of that. And Jeremy also bought one of my hoodies.
Well, while we're talking merch, what hoodie are you wearing right now, Melissa? Good way to end the show.
You should head over to aboutthefans.com. Use promo code HG10. That's HG10, and you can get 10% off the Hoodie Girl hoodie line of any of the hoodies. I'm currently wearing the Hoodie Girl logo hoodie.
It's quite comfortable.
Really nice hoodie.
One of my favorite hoodies to wear.
It's more of like an athletic material. It's got the 2-tone sleeves. There's 3 other hoodies available, including the Larinaga Meyer 23 hoodie, which is now apparently vintage. But if you're a basketball fan, obviously you are if you're watching the show, HG10, 10% off. And me and AB are actually in talks right now for a Hoodie Girl 2.0 hoodie that we're hoping to release maybe in April because that's when the first line was released. To kind of do like an anniversary hoodie. And we are discussing possible Miami Vice themed colored hoodie. So keep an eye out for that. I'll probably break that news on the show and give y'all some first dibs on it before it gets actually released. So we'll see. But yeah, there might be another hoodie coming soon in the works. Anything else, Fish?
No, just to summarize, the women are at NC State tomorrow, host Florida State on Sunday. The men are at Pittsburgh, I want to say, on Saturday. And then I believe at Florida State for the next 2 games. Hold on, I'm doing a quick check on the men's schedule here to confirm that. That is accurate. Wow, did that from memory. So Saturday at Pitt, and then the following Saturday at Florida State. So their next home game is Saturday the 22nd against Virginia Tech. Again, the women are back at the Watt hosting Florida State on Saturday. I mean, I'll be here. I'm flying in Friday night. I mean, I got baseball too, so decisions will it's now the time of year where you got to make choices. But yeah.
Are they at the same time? We might be able to do a basketball game and then we'll get milkshakes or something, or vice versa.
Are they at the same time? Let me see. I think that's the Princeton. That's a doubleheader day. 2 and 5:30 is the baseball, and then basketball's at 6.
Options.
There are options.
Let me take a milkshake into the Watt. We'll see. Anyway, shout out to Sox coverage and Canes Cats Heat for holding down the chat and chit-chatting with us. Not a lot of people want to watch basketball coverage when we're not winning, so shout out to them.
Well, I will be out at the Watt on Sunday for the women hosting Florida State. So
yes, I will be at work, unfortunately. But hey, the men seem to be winning games when I'm at work, so maybe the women can do that. Next buckets will probably be next week. We'll follow buckets_Canes we'll announce when the next show is.
And fingers crossed, Fountain Valley is working over Mater Day right now. I've been Googling to see if I can find a score somewhere. I can't find it. We're going to have to wait for Matt to report back from the arena.
Go Barons.
Go Barons.
Either way, congrats to Matt on a great season, his first season of assistant coaching. Fountain Valley had some really big wins this year. Sounds like the team did really well, and they're playing a team that's like one of the top teams in the country. So it's kind of a rough.
Yeah, screw that. Go Barons. They're going to get the
Go Barons. And we'll call that a night. So go Barons. Cue the Sox outro. Don't cry. Keep it chill. Wear good socks.